please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC-TV18. Now, the pharma space is going to be in focus today. Let's start off with Lupin. Now, that stock's going to be on the radar as details of the warning letter issued to its Goa as well as its Indore unit have become public. Ekta joins us early this morning to run us through all those details. Hey, Ekta, good morning.
Hi, Nigel. Morning. Well, most of the details about the fact that they have received a warning letter and that the US FDA has asked them to do multiple studies with regards to those particular details on Goa and Indore is largely already known. But now what is new about Lupin is that the warning letter details have come out. So if you look at the warning letter details, what the US FDA has basically asked for with regards to the Goa as well as the Indore facility is basically to provide a corrective action plan to improve the out of specification investigations in all facilities. They've asked for providing an updated lab investigation procedure, also performing retrospective review of batches which have been shipped to the US. The US FDA also continues to say that it points out repeat observations which have taken place at the Goa as well as the Indore site on invalidating of out of specification results. And they have cited these FDA, these CGMP observations or current good manufacturing observations in March of 2016 in Goa as well as Jan of 2015 in Indore. So what you can take away from this is that a lot of technical work for Lupin in terms of retrospective studies, in terms of lab investigations, etc., need to be performed by the company, and it seems as though it's a long road ahead for them to probably perform these studies and provide the kind of work that they need to for the US FDA. So the two takeaways is that yes, it is probably going to take a lot in terms of remediation, and secondly, it's probably going to result in a delay in approvals from these two facilities. Again, remember that Goa is probably the most important facility when it comes to the US markets for Lupin. So this is definitely a setback. It doesn't seem like there's any sort of, data integrity, etc. It's more about these retrospective studies and lab investigations which need to be thoroughly done. Also, the US FDA has taken cognizance of the amount of work that Lupin has done till now and responded to the US FDA, but they believe that it is not enough for them to be satisfied by it. So this is definitely going to be a little pressure on Lupin today. How much of it is factored in will be interesting to see, and how much of it probably shakes up the market in terms of the warning letter details will be something else that we'll find out today.
Okay, Ekta, so Lupin under pressure today, but what about Sun Pharma? The revenue and EBITDA you told us was in line. The management retains the guidance. Now, how do you expect the stock to react?
Well, I expect Sun Pharma to not do too much in today's trading session. I expect probably the stock to be under pressure. Now, there are a couple of reasons for that. Is because the US market is down 24% on a sequential basis. It's down 44% year on year as well. We saw that last quarter and it's continuing into this quarter. The management has guided for challenges in the pricing environment. Now, importantly, like you mentioned, the FY18 guidance has been retained. So that means that it implies a second half FY18 growth of around 15% over first half. There could be some deferred sales which could benefit into the second half, but only time will tell about that. The management has also maintained guidance in terms of margins at around 20 to 22%. So that was actually, the silver lining, that despite that revenue decline that we saw, we had the margins which came in at 20%. And interestingly, they did confirm our story about Baska. I mean, more or less, not in it was assumed to be true that that particular inspection is taking place at the Baska site, which is just a couple of kilometers from Halol. But there are no Halol inspection dates as yet. They're still probably hoping for Q3 FY18, maybe a pre-Christmas inspection. But they don't even have clarity on the fact that maybe the US FDA inspectors could jump from Halol to from Baska to Halol, etc. So it'll be interesting to see that development over the next couple of weeks, maybe, and a couple of days. But I expect the stock to probably be pressured today.
Okay, all right. I think on that note, let's hear out the management talking about their guidance.
While we retain our guidance, we would like to highlight that the current environment in the US generic market continues to be challenging for reasons which are well known. our guidance has to be viewed in this context, and we will endeavor to achieve our guidance in a rapidly changing industry dynamics.
Okay, let's turn our attention to the banking space then. Bank of Baroda's asset quality has improved and it's reported its lowest slippages in the last 4 quarters. Abhishek Kothari has been looking at those numbers. He joins us early this morning with the earnings fine print. Hi Abhishek, good morning.
Good morning, Nigel. It's an overall performance given by Bank of Baroda, not only the asset quality, but also the balance sheet growth and improvement in P&L. So if you look at the gross slippages, that has reduced by 33.5% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, while the overall stressed assets, that is the net NPA plus restructured book, has declined to 8.1% versus 8.3%. You look at the domestic loan growth, from being at minus 11% few quarters back, it is now at plus 13.8% on a YOY basis. So that has also led to improvement in net interest margin. Overall, the net interest margin has improved to 2.3%, but domestic net interest margin has improved by 20 basis points to 2.68%. You look at the profit, it is down 35%, but mainly because provision coverage ratio has been improved. While on the brokerage side, UBS has upgraded their target price to 230 from 220 earlier, while Credit Suisse also maintains a buy recommendation on the stock. Back to you.
Well, India pulls housing finance on the radar. The company has sold stake in Britain's Oaknorth Bank. Varinder joins us early this morning with more details. Varinder, good morning. What does it mean for the company?
Well, I'll take you back into the past. It was in November 2015 when India Bulls Finance actually invested money in this company. I still remember the stock went down by 15-17% on that day, and people were wondering why they are investing in this company. There's no use of bank, when you're having a housing finance company. Now, what has happened is that the company has sold 1/3 stake in Oaknorth Bank, and the value is 770 crores. Remember, they invested 663 crores for the entire stake in this company. So by selling 1/3, they have already, got back, much higher than what they were investing, 770 crores versus investment of 663 crores. Also, they are still left with 20% stake in that, entity, Oaknorth, and the value of that is nearly 1,500 crores. So you're still sitting on the profits of 1,500 crores. While if you calculate what it means for book value per share, this will add anywhere between 4 to 5% of the book value, when the 660 crore post-tax money comes into the, of course, you have to deduct tax, money comes into the books of India Bulls Financial Services. So clearly, book value goes up. But the more important thing for me is that if anyone had apprehension that why were they investing, the management has, sold 1/3 stake back, got more money what they invested, and still sitting on 1,500 crores of profit, and that stake 20% is just for free for all the shareholders. So I see, red, dark green on the stock today. So let's see.
Okay, Varinder, thanks so much for that. But GAIL as well posted a strong quarter. Take us through the earnings highlights there.
Well, strong quarter, but GAIL is a stock where everyone is divided on the street. You will see more sales than buyers. The things are picking up. The US shale contract is one thing which has been hindering, and people are wondering what will happen to that and not. But if you look at the numbers, the gas transmission segment clearly, was leading all the way up. Most of the segment, the volumes were picking up, which was a nice thing. Otherwise, if you just see any number, the profit was 30% higher than what we are estimating. EBITDA margins at 16.7% compared to a poll of 15.3%. EBITDA at 2,070 crores compared to an estimate of 1,973 crores. So nearly 100 crores beat over there as well. So clearly, volumes beat across all segments, higher than expected transmission tariffs and marketing margins, and of course the lower operating cost helped GAIL to report solid set of numbers. I'll also put a word on MRPL. MRPL, if you watch out for quarter numbers, they will look very good. But please, there's an inventory gain there. There was an inventory loss in the quarter, so you can't compare. Like to like, if you have to just see the core GRMs for MRPL was $5.3 per barrel, compared to $6.50 in first quarter. So the core GRMs were below what Street was expecting. And, there was an inventory gain of nearly $2.7 per barrel in the numbers. So, that led to huge surge in terms of numbers we're watching out for. Otherwise, the numbers were weak.
Okay. Let's focus on the derivatives market. Then Mangalam's with us early this morning. Good morning, Mangalam. The FIs, they're going short.
Absolutely, Nigel. What do I tell you? Yesterday, the FIs, rather the day before yesterday, they bought about 300 crores. We thought, some things are turning, but no, that seemed like it was just a flash in the pan, because yesterday, Again, they sold and sold with gusto, 821 crore worth selling in index futures. So that makes their long exposure go down to 52% from 70% at the start of the series, consistently selling in index futures. But one thing that really stood apart was the Nifty futures premium. Even in the FII selling adversity, the Nifty futures premium held its own at that 47 level. In fact, improved from the level that we saw day before yesterday. Remember, just 2 days ago, it was 12.25. The FIIs, they also sold about 1,000 crores in index options. The put-call ratio fell below that 1.2 mark, around that 1.19. And that is explained by the FII action in index options, where so many calls were unwound. Long calls close to 14,000 contracts were unwound. Long puts close to 8,000 contracts were unwound. And short puts, the put writers, they ran for a fair amount of cover. 16,250 puts on the short side were unwound. The November series, what is important is that the 10,200 mark still has the maximum open interest. So we'll watch out for whether that mark is defended or not on a longer term basis. 10,300 call, that one saw a fair bit of writing, as did the 10,100 put. That one saw some positions being shed out there and the premium spiked. If you take a look at individual stocks, Kaveri Seed, that one comes into the FNO band, and Jet Airways, after a rally and yesterday's decline, goes out of the FNO band. So will be an interesting stock to watch out for. Long positions seen on a few of these NBFCs. Repco Home on the back of a good set of numbers. With G1, there were various M&A rumors doing the rounds on the street. And from the FMCG Tata Group space, we had Tata Global as well as Voltas. Both of them saw some fresh long positions being added after stellar moves yesterday.
Okay, Mangalam, thank you so much for all those cues. But on to the bullseye corner now. Our contestants this week, Rakesh Bansal, Gaurav Ratnaparki and Vishal Malkan, are battling it out for the strongest portfolio. Let's hear their picks for the day 3 of the week.
My first call is a buy call on Axis Bank. Buy Axis Bank. Stop loss 532, target 574. My second call is a buy call on Ujjivan Financial. Buy Ujjivan Financial. Stop loss 369.80, target 415. My third call is a buy call on Divis. Buy Divis. Stop loss 980, target 1088. My last call is a buy call on Dredging Corporation. Buy Dredging Corporation. Stop loss 690, target 920.
I have a sell call on Oriental Bank Futures, stop loss 129.10 and target 120.50. Next one is also on the short side, that is Muthoot Finance Futures, stop loss 464.50 and target 435. The third one is on the long side, that is Texmaco Rail, stop loss has been kept at 113 and target at 121.50. The last one is also on the long side, that is Ajanta Pharma, stop loss 1208 and target 1289.
Okay, let's get in Vishal Malkan's calls then. He has a buy call on Hexaware. He's placing a target at 375, stop loss at 340. Second pick is again a buy call. Ashok Leyland's the one this time around. Target at around 120, stop loss at 110. Third pick is looking to buy Tata Global. Oh, there he has a target of 265. Stop loss he's placing at around 242. And finally, he's also looking to buy Bata. Oh, there the target is 825, stop loss at 775.
Okay, with that, it's a wrap on Power Breakfast. From the team and myself, thank you so much for watching. Bazaar Morning Call comes up next.